Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the Grid Watchers podcast. This is episode 19, I believe. I don't know how we've done 19 episodes, but we're here today to review the final ever Malaysian Grand Prix. Well, final, maybe it'll come back, but yeah, we'll see. But I am joined by the usual suspects of Causa LFC 96 and Semba, and a special guest. It is the AOR, PS4, F3, and Codemaster's most hated person, Ashley Richards. How is everyone doing this evening?
Ash Richard's son.
Richard's son. Yeah. We've spent so long talking about what we're going to say in this podcast. I'd just quite like to get on with it.
Yeah.
Spent at least a good half an hour doing that.
Definitely Codemaster's most hated person. Put it that way.
Yeah. No, I'm pretty. I was going to say Vrixen, but that's just the F1 community.
Oh, he's right there. Yeah, Vrixen hasn't graced his appearance. No, that doesn't. No, hasn't.
Graced his appearance. I don't really know what to think of that.
Stop asking him for banners. It gets in his head.
Yeah, he loves it.
Oh my god! But AOR wanted me to do a banner, and it's black with AOR written on it. Oh my god!
Oh, dear. Yeah, Vrixen,
I love it. My personal favourite is when he says, "Right, okay, that's enough, guys. I've got too much work, too many requests coming in. I'm too popular." And like a day later, he's like, "Right, back open."
Yep. I am back open now for people that want to pay for my services. Vrixen is quite literally a whore, a thumbnail whore, a banner whore.
So, let's try and get back to the race. I'll start with you, Ashley. What would you give the race out of 10?
It's a bit difficult because you get these odd, especially this season, you get these odd bits of, oh, that was great racing, or there's a move, and then all of a sudden it's gone, and you're like, big gaps. Everyone's falling back now. So I'd say it was probably around a 7 because it was quite interesting with, Fernando Alonso, where he was getting involved with Vettel, and then Van Dorn making the moves on the wheel. That was quite interesting, and then of course, Verstappen just pushing his balls past Hamilton and saying, "Go on, mate, tune in," and he just didn't. He was like, "Do you know what? I'll just leave you go." And you can imagine being in the car then as just going, "Yeah, exactly. You knew not to turn in well." So it was nice. It was nice to see something different.
Yeah. Causa?
Yeah, I was going to go for a 7 as well. It seemed to sort of be pretty interesting throughout. There was always something going on or strategy or whatever. So I found it quite a good race.
Yep. Semba, I know what you're going to say. You're going to say 20 out of 10 because Max actually won.
Nah.
You're not.
No, okay, I'll wait for this then.
I was going to say 7, but because he won, it's got to be an 8. But it's like Ash said, it's like sometimes there were these moments where you're like, ooh, well, this is interesting. And then 10 laps where you notice you lean back and grab your phone to check what Twitter's saying. You haven't had a full 100% race where you're like every single lap. And I know it's almost impossible, but
I think you could always judge a race on how much you look at Twitter.
Yes.
And the fact that I didn't actually look at Twitter that much, surely it's got to be
7 or
thing.
8.
Yeah, but I still did a little bit.
Yeah.
It wasn't as good as last year, I don't think. But yeah.
No, yeah, I agree with that.
That was quite interesting.
Yeah, I don't think Vrixen would agree with that, but let's move on. He's not here, so screw it.
So I wanted to hand it over to you, Semba, first, being the resident Max fan. It was just a good display from him, really. The car was perfect, and he had almost a perfect drive after overtaking Hamilton.
Car was looking really balanced. I mean, they feel it more than we can tell on TV, but no lockups, no oversteer, no understeer, nothing. But the only thing I do hate, well, not hate, but that pisses me off is Verstappen, still a rookie, overtakes a multiple time world champion, and then they go yeah, but he wasn't defending.
Yeah,
no, I agree with that.
Gonna risk his race because he's still one or two more wins and he's got the championship title anyway. But don't go he overtook Hamilton. Don't go yeah, but he wasn't defending. Yes, he was, but just not with the knife between his teeth. It was a nice overtake, but the Mercedes was struggling a bit with straight line speed, wasn't it?
At the start it was, because the battery pack still wasn't fully charged, but at the same time the Renault still has a massive deficit. But the thing is, Hamilton did the same thing in Hungary. He's always, he sort of just waved Verstappen through, and oh no, it's not worth fighting him. But Hamilton's always been known as this person who's really aggressive, and he's always said himself, like, I'll always fight back when someone overtakes me. And then Max comes along and he's like, do you know what? It's not worth it. Because, yes, okay, you could say he's got more on the line, but at the same time, you've got someone who is actually Lewis Hamilton fears, and he doesn't fear anyone. And I don't think he gets enough credit for that.
He did on the in-lap, in-lap / parade lap, Hamilton pulled alongside Verstappen and applauded him.
Yeah, he drove a good race, which is fair enough. But I think, going back to Hamilton, didn't really defend. I think Hamilton, obviously, when he got into Formula One, was very much like, I'm proving a point here. And then that sort of carried on throughout when McLaren Mercedes wasn't as good. But I think now, because he's matured and he's going, well, at the moment, I'm 20 of, how many points he was at the start of Malaysia ahead of Vettel. So he's going, well, why am I risking my race when all I need to do is finish on the podium and I've extended my gap? Yeah. So he's playing that game. But Hamilton is a better driver when he's chasing, because he takes those risks. He's going, well, look at the reward if I do this. That's then this many points behind, rather than it being more. So I think that, saying, oh, it's a bit off that Hamilton didn't defend, blah, blah, blah. But, you're playing the long game. And in terms of Max overtaking, Max still had to be in that position to overtake Hamilton, because Hamilton's still not going to give up the lead. Mm-hmm. But Max is forcing his hand by going, well, if you fight back, then you're taking a little bit of a risk here.
Yeah. Oh, but that was good. I mean, I enjoyed that battle between Hamilton and Verstappen. Like, then he made it, like, what was it, 12-second gap, and then it was pit stop time, and then it was 5 seconds again, and then at the end he finished with 12.7 second lead. So that shows that the Red Bull really was on point this weekend. It was really good.
Yeah, the Red Bull was fantastic.
The way they go about racing, they're arguably the best racing team in F1. You got Mercedes all weekend. Even Hamilton said, like, even this weekend, he said we just had massive problems globally between all three areas. So the engine, so you got Brixworth, Brackley, and here we're all just messing up and trying to tripping over each other. And then you got Ferrari, who just can't mount a title challenge to save their life. And there are so many other teams that sort of don't quite get it right, but when Red Bull have any slither of opportunity, they just nail it.
They have the perfect race. But yeah, you said about Ferrari not being able to mount a title challenge. I think that was absolutely bold. Personally, because he was 25 points ahead at one point.
And again, it goes down to Verstappen, because Hamilton is scared of Verstappen. Someone said, I can't remember who it was, but they said Verstappen overnight in Singapore got under Vettel's skin. So Vettel's thinking about his race plan for the next day. He's thinking, oh my God, if Max gets ahead of me, either way, Max is going to dive me into turn one. But if Max gets ahead of me, that's it. That's kind of the end of my race. And he got so frustrated and worked up over Verstappen, the same way he did in Mexico in 2016. So fixated by him that he was absolutely anything, no matter what cost it was, I was moving over on Verstappen. That's it. That's all that's happening. He's not getting me. But at the same time, he didn't take into account someone might have got a better start than both of them. And was so
which in wet conditions is possible.
Yeah, and he was so focused on him that he dropped him, his teammate, and Verstappen all out of the race. And Alonso, that robbed us of one awesome race. But yeah, wrong race.
Alonso, don't, because that's just made me really sad now.
Yeah.
When I realised that Alonso could have been in like third place after that, and it got absolutely destroyed. But I think it shows a lack of maturity from Vettel.
Yeah.
To risk himself when he's in a title battle, and that will be the difference this season between Hamilton winning the title and Vettel losing. Is that Hamilton showed the maturity that Vettel didn't.
Yeah. At no point has Hamilton looked flustered this year. And at many points, Vettel has looked like on track and off track to just start losing his head a little bit. And Hamilton knows that. He knows that easily because having Rosberg to race against the last couple of years, that one of the toughest toughest guys going, and Vettel just got rocked by Daniel Ricciardo moving there in 2014. So into Red Bull. But speaking of Alonso, this race I should say. Van Dorn just wiped the floor with him.
He did indeed, didn't he? Well,
It was an odd one, wasn't it? Because Alonso's, famed for these great starts and didn't actually really move up at all. And then you suddenly see like Van Dorn, he was in 5th place. Yeah.
He had a great start.
Like, what? It was a bit mental, and he held it on. It was nice.
Yeah, and then of course, both Williams, he got Stroll went to overtake Massa because Massa got the undercut, and then Van Dorn came out the pits and was like, "Well, I'll just have you both." And
It's pretty
both just left them napping, and it's like people are kind of worried. It made people sit up and look. People are quite worried now about the McLaren chassis because it was the third, say the 4th best car, let's say, with that power unit, which has a massive deficit. Not so much in quali and the race, because over the race they can't, they have to overfuel compared to other teams because it's so inefficient and they don't have as much electrical energy and all the common Honda problems. And yet they were looking at the corner speeds and people were like, "Ooh, okay."
Yes.
Their lap speed was so good. So with the Renault engine next year, something half decent, if their chassis is as good as Red Bull's, if not better, what they're saying at the moment, it's looking quite strong. And I think that's why Alonso stayed with the team, because he just...
I got a feeling for the oncoming season or seasons, like Van Dorn has got like Yagi thing going on with Alonso. Like he teaches him so much. I think for the next upcoming season, we're really going to enjoy all the rookies or the youngsters that are in Formula One right now.
Yeah, Van Dorn's going to have a great season next season because Alonso is the perfect mentor.
Yeah, he is. It'll be interesting to see how I think he'll do fantastic next year. I think one to watch as well is Gasly. He got his chance this weekend in the Toro Rosso. Admittedly, he did finish 14th. But Malaysia's a difficult track, and the Toro Rosso had an issue where he wasn't getting water into his mouth, and of course Malaysia's such a hot place. It was just dripping down his chest or something, I think I read. So it's such a difficult race for a rookie to do.
His seat wasn't well adjusted. They get that bucket custom made, so it was whopping about. And I was like, so he said to the press, like at the end of the race, his back and his ass were killing him because he was just sliding around in what should be a really snug fit. He was just sliding around everywhere.
Oh God! I mean, that makes it even more impressive. But so it was a solid but understated debut. But in qualifying, I think he was only about a tenth and a half off Sainz. Something around there. It's very small. And then on the radio at the end, he said, "Right, I had 3 tenths in that lap, and I dropped it. So there was definitely 3 more tenths to give." And I was like, "Wow, coming out fighting there, pal, because that would have put you 2 tenths ahead of Sainz or something along those lines." Anyway, and it was like, right, I could have beat my teammate straight off the bat, not putting up and saying, "Oh, well, that was all right for a first effort. It was I had more time than that." So it's a different, interesting attitude. I think he is going to do quite well once he gets going. But that was very impressive considering he had those issues that I didn't know about. The seat and the drinks bottle. That is double impressive, So I think that's and then it was Sainz that made the mistake in the race, wasn't it? Because he just sailed into the side. Well, Ocon went to go on the outside, and Sainz just drove into him, bounced Ocon round, and Gasly didn't really put a foot wrong.
Yeah, I think to come out of your first race weekend and be arguably as good as your teammate is surely all you can ask for, I would say.
Yeah.
So if you're nearly as good as your teammate, then that's good enough. I think he did a really good job.
Yeah, exactly. I think that is fantastic, and it's like so Daniel, you said you were coming back for Kota. Yeah,
Is he got a contract for next season?
I'm not sure. I think he'll come back for Kota though, because Gasly's only half a point off the lead in so I think that he will have to come back for Kota. But then the rest of the season after that, I'm not sure, because Gasly seriously outclassed him this weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I'll go with that.
What can you say?
You say? It's rumored that he did have Kvyat did have a contract rumored for another season, but I'm unsure. Hopefully, he just leaves because he's a pile of shit and he's not very good at all.
Yeah. With nicknames of Tornado, that tells you all you need to know, surely.
Not Tornado.
I said Torpedo.
I said Tornado.
Bollocks.
Good job, Alex.
My mouth does not work.
Dear me. One thing we do like to do on this show, Ashley, is talk about Jolyon Palmer and how shit he is. So we'll give you the chance to.
He
What
spun.
was your
He
thought?
spun by himself.
Yeah, exactly. He spun himself. Did you see?
Yeah, I love
Did you
that.
see it on
Ah.
Autosport? He said he told Autosport it was the wind that blew him, and that's how he spun.
Oh.
That is
Oh, I
shit.
know. I know.
Rosberg can get away with that because he's a world champion now. But Palmer goes into the other, the other incident they had, but the one with Magnussen, no one touched him, no one did anything, and he just spun out, and everyone was Magnussen was like, "What the hell was that?" And Palmer was like, "Yeah, there was definitely contact there." It's like, well, yeah, when you spun, you crashed
contact with the wheel on the rubber.
Yeah,
because there were slow motion replays, and like you're going, but surely he hasn't spun himself out. There's got to be contact, and you just see the back end step out and spin. You're like, nope, there was nothing.
There was absolutely
And
nothing.
I just, who was Palmer battling with when they were getting lapped by Verstappen?
I think that was Magnussen, wasn't it?
It was Magnussen, yeah.
That's the back of that Red Bull. The internet would have gone absolutely mental.
Oh my god! Can you imagine if he had hit him?
Yeah, because it was like, are they going to move out of the way? No, they're going to continue battling. Oh,
Yeah.
It was really close.
And considering Palmer, Hulkenberg, he got pushed off the road in I think it was in the first few laps. I think that was by Magnussen as well. He was just in the grass. He basically went lawn mowing, kicked up a lot of dirt. He then had damage to his front axle. He said it was really vibrating quite hard. And then he had issues with the engine as well. It was going cool the car. So I think some of the mud got into the intakes. And then Palmer only finished a 10th ahead of Hulkenberg. And it's like,
because he had to take another pit stop as well. He did a 2-stop with 3 laps to go.
It's just like, mate, how can you warrant being, saying that you deserve a drive in F1? Apparently he was offered around like 7 million to leave his contract early and have Sainz in there. But then they said, no, I'm going to see out the season. They said, like, why? What's the point? You've got nothing to prove.
You're awful. Palmer is actually awful.
Yeah.
He's not that bad.
Shut up, Ken. Ken, you are seriously going to tell me that you think Palmer is a great driver?
No, I just want to keep him for all the memes we get on the daily.
It's awful. But then if Palmer goes, we can't keep chanting Karma Jordan, can we?
Oh, nice.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Palmer is.
But
imagine, if Palmer and Kvyat both, leave F1, who are we going to mock then?
Valtteri Bottas.
Yeah.
Stroll. We always have Stroll.
Yeah, but Stroll's been alright. Stroll's been doing good. It's annoying.
I'm sorry, Stroll's been doing alright.
He got smart. To be fair, he did get a podium.
Did you see what happened after the race? You can't say Stroll's been doing fine.
Okay, now I'll give you that one.
But
in the race,
that was strange. That was really odd. I did think it was. I think from what I saw after the race, Stroll moved outright to go and pick up rubber. Didn't realize Vettel was coming around the outside. But I think didn't Vettel get the penalty?
No, it's racing.
No, neither of them did. Racing incident. Well, a non-racing incident, but
that was TR Limitless chatting shit then, as usual.
Yeah, no, neither got a penalty.
But because I think the only thing you could have said for Vettel is like, okay, why are you passing him so fast on your cooldown lap? But he could be understandably frustrated with his race. And then Stroll is like, from what I can see, Vettel's on one line, Stroll's on the inside, and he just moves to the right. And on the radio, Vettel's like, "Are you serious?" And Stroll's like, "Vettel just crashed into me." And it's like, are you for real?
It's like, you sure? Who is saying it's racing incident, and who is saying probably Stroll's fault?
It's just Stroll's stupidity.
I'm saying racing incident.
You got mirrors, use them.
Yep, I'm going Stroll.
But why is Vettel going so quick?
No, I'll give you that one.
I'm
not saying that Vettel's not at fault. I'm just saying that maybe Stroll could have looked in his mirrors a little bit more.
Yeah.
And then moved over.
You can't really call it. I mean, I do agree with you, being racing incident, but it's more like both being idiots.
Yeah.
Vettel needs to look at his mirrors and be. Vettel needs to calm down. It's an in lap. It's a parade lap. Chill out.
Yeah, that's.
I don't know why Vettel's annoyed about his race, because he came from last to fifth, fourth.
But he just knows that the gap's extending. That's the part of it. And the thing is, I think 2015 when Vettel won in the Alonso and was like, "Oh mate, nice choices, pal." And then they won a couple of races that year. I think it was 3. And then in 2016, they did well at the start of the season. Everyone's still looking at Alonso going, you made the wrong choice, didn't you? And he was like, no, I'm quite happy here. And in 2016, by the second half of the year, they were completely outdeveloped. And then this year, everyone was like, Alonso, should you have stayed there a bit longer? Because he had a contract till 2018 with Ferrari. Should you have stayed there a bit longer? Oh, no, maybe it was the end of 2017, something like that. And he's like, nope. And then they get into the back end of the season. Vettel's turbo fails, so I think it was the pipe outside of the turbo failed in quali after changing his engine. And then Kimi to the grid seat, the same thing happens to him. And it's there like, look at Alonso. Alonso must be laughing his head off because he's like, Ferrari had what's arguably the most drivable, usable car, the easiest one to set up that could really do a challenge, and yet Ferrari let them down. So, and I think that's the part where Vettel is trying to build a team like Schumacher did, but it's not the same as Schumacher because Ross Brawn and Jean Todt aren't there. You've just got this big ringleader at the top, making everyone so afraid that they'll lose their jobs that they've just got no direction. And then Riva Bene won't even do media stuff anymore. It's disgraceful. He just walks away from interviews.
Yeah, it is a little bit rubbish.
There's too much pressure there. And Vettel's obviously got pressure on himself to try and emulate Schumacher, which he's trying to do, but then he just kept getting let down. So at the end of the race, when he's thinking to himself, for God's sake, all this has happened, and Lewis Hamilton's got second, and he's just coasted to it, and I've lost even more points in the championship, and he probably just wants to go back in the pits, do his media, and just go home. And Stroll's just there like, wow, that was a really tough race. Goes to pick up rubber and just drives into him.
It's really summing up Vettel's championship at the moment, isn't it? It's ridiculous.
Yeah. And then Verlaine comes along, tries to butter up Ross, like, maybe if I pick him up, I'll still stay in Sauber next year.
Like, yeah. And then he's trying to make jokes on Twitter, how much do I owe you? And then Vettel's replying to it. That was just, no.
No, not at all. Nothing.
No, this isn't happening. But this is why Red Bull are in an absolutely amazing position, because Ferrari's got all this pressure. Mercedes have got all this pressure because they're 3-time Constructors' World Champions at the moment, and the car to be. And then Red Bull are like, well, we have absolutely no pressure on us. Max has got no pressure on him because he's miles behind the championship for beyond his control. Ricciardo's just enjoyed himself. Ricciardo's having a whale of a time.
Yeah.
And they're just going, well, let's just see what this weekend brings. We're comfortably third in the championship. We're bringing more upgrades. Let's just go for it. And that's why Max has won the race.
Yeah.
Inevitably.
Red Bull shouldn't be in the position where they are now. They should be up the front. With someone like Adrian Newey.
Oh, yeah.
And it also to do with Renault with the shitty engine power unit. They should be up there with Ferrari and with Mercedes up at the front, but they're not. So I agree with you. They've got nothing to play for, and they can just go for it. But they should never be in that position in the first place.
No.
I do agree.
They should be where they are now. They should have been there at the start of the season, and and it was a massive oversight and a massive correlation issue that they had, where they just didn't have the aero performance. Well,
from what I heard, the initial package wasn't Adrian Newey's. They brought him in around Spain time.
Right.
Oh, I see.
From what I heard. So this whole I think because he wanted to take a more back seat. This is what I've heard anyway. It might complete dribble, but it would make sense. Is that Adrian Newey's taking a back seat, and then the guy who's actually made the car has gone, oh yeah, we're going to have this sort of more like, rather than like huge aero package, we're going to go for something that's a little bit more slipstream, streamlined, a little bit like a sort of Force India thing. And then gone, but we've only got a Renault engine. So now we have to put in loads of downforce. Oh, Adrian, do you fancy doing that for us? Yes, they'll be ready in time for Singapore. Oh, well, there we go. They're beautiful. Singapore comes around second on the grid.
Yeah. No, you're right. He of course, knew he's doing project with Aston Martin now, and it's just like, I just got him back to him, like, just calling him up, like, Adrian.
Adrian!
Come back.
Dave.
But it was, that's definitely, it's a bit of an embarrassment. People are saying that Horner should resign and all this, and I was like, whoa. And he's managed to put it back. So, but again, too little, too late, really, for them this year.
Just put in place for next season, aren't there? There isn't any changes for next season, is there? From what I know,
into the text tweaks. I haven't read up, but there will be.
Shark fins going, and the stupid T-wing.
Yeah, that's good.
Which I can't wait for.
Yeah,
I'll be alright.
But they aren't changing the aero.
Yes.
Ah, where's the ground effect?
Change the aero, change the engine, which is going to be, I assume, for 2020 or something like that.
2021
It
season,
still
yeah.
lasts.
So ridiculous.
As soon as they bring in standardized parts, as soon as they bring in different engines, boom, F1 will be amazing again.
Yeah. Back
And
to
stop
top
giving
10
Ferrari
as it was.
loyalty bonuses for not quitting.
Yeah.
And then we'll be, F1 will be an absolutely amazing place. We'll be like back to the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Um,
we've got to wait another 4 years for that.
Have we missed any
Boring.
other bits from the Grand Prix we haven't mentioned?
Yes.
Of course you do,
Yes.
yes. You've watched it about 4 times. haven't
You've always got something to say. My driver of the day. What did I say? My driver of the day was. I think it was Van Dorn. I think he did really, really well with obviously the issues that he had. But then I learned this morning that Perez was on a drip Friday night, on an intravenous drip, because he felt
was
so
he?
awful during practice.
He was, the night before the race.
Oh, Jesus.
He couldn't breathe in the car during practice, so they did it on Friday night, and he said he felt awful. Felt a bit better Saturday morning. After qualifying on Saturday, he said and I quote, "I was destroyed." So he went back on the meds then Saturday night, and then to do the whole race in 55 degree cockpit with the pressure that he has, obviously, because he's in such a poor car, let's say, in relative terms. To deal with that and just to not lose concentration is just unbelievable to hold it together. I think that was, for me, that is the untold story.
He did press as well at the end, which is even more impressive that he's actually got out to then do press work afterwards rather than just go, no, I go to go back on that trip because it was some good stuff.
Yeah,
that would be me after the race, but no, he did press stuff as well. And I'm not gonna lie, he looked like a sheet.
Yeah.
He looked awful.
He did look awful, and you've got Massa in Hungary like, nah, lads, can't get the rest in. Sorry about that.
Yeah, who would Force India put in?
I absolutely no idea.
Would you give it? Well, I was going to say Giovinazzi, but it's all Mercedes power and Mercedes.
Carmen,
Sort of thing.
Jordan.
Put in?
No, they haven't got anyone. I don't think so. That's a bit. Maybe they should think about that.
That cellist Junior, Alfonso Cellist, he's tested for him, I think, but I don't think.
Oh yeah, they have, haven't they? Yeah.
A reserve driver. I'm not sure. Just Susie Wolf sticks on her racing gear from Channel 4 F1.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll give it a go.
Get Mark Webber in.
Oh wow, that would be impressive.
That would be amazing.
I'd love
because he still does Porsche Cup, so just be like, yeah. Do you fancy getting into a Force? Oh, was he?
Yeah,
He is getting on a bit. Yeah, but so Susie Wolf, but she's still jumping it.
I'd probably jump on that as well, to be honest.
Wow.
She's only victim.
Anyway. What did I want to say? Oh yeah. Speaking of Massa, he was nowhere. I mean, he just like.
I did actually see him the whole race. I don't think kids got televised at all.
It's just really lackluster, and he got outclassed by Stroll, and it's like, come on, you're Felipe Massa. You're this man who almost got the title in 08, only to be sort of.
Massa was pretty poor last season, and then they got desperate, and he's been mediocre this season. So, but obviously he will almost definitely retire this season. Well, he better do anyway, because it'll be the biggest anticlimax ever.
Yeah.
It's rumoured Williams are going to keep him, which I don't agree with whatsoever.
No, there are so many better drivers they can get in.
Yeah, so you've got the current. They've actually come out and said our current options are Kubica, Massa, or De Resta, and that's like saying, who do you want for president? Like Trump, Clinton, or like Barack Obama again. It's like, stick Kubica in the car. You're going to get. He may not, have that much endurance at the moment, but hopefully, with the determination he's got to get this far, he's not going to fail at the final hurdle. The amount of money they'd get for it is ridiculous. The amount of sponsorship and press coverage would be ridiculous. And then you got like Paul Di Resta, which is like a leaking bagpipe. It would just be like just so dreary. And in Hungary, he was just there like there was no buzz. He was there like yeah, kind of enjoyed it, and just there like, oh yeah, cool, excellent, mate.
Yeah, it was alright. I think the issue for the rest in Hungary was that he had no setup tuned for himself. He had no seat made for himself.
Yeah.
He went, oh bollocks! I've now got a race now. Like, he probably got in the car and just went, oh what? Why did I say yes to this?
Yeah.
So I could see why he was a little bit like, yeah, it was all right, because absolutely none of it was tuned for him in any way. It's a car he'd never driven, with a startup procedure he'd never done. So it was a bit like the fact that he got through that race was enough in itself. Oh, he didn't get through that race in the end, but the fact that he, didn't retire from binning it in a wall, I think is enough in itself.
That's
because
good
a lot of
stuff,
people do.
Because then Massa, like first practice in Spa, just went straight into the wall himself. So it's like,
Yeah,
so and he held
Nice one.
on the track for a whole race. So that's actually quite something. I didn't think of that, but
Yeah.
it is odd. I don't think he'll get it because, like, from what I remember, he didn't do much spectacular in 2011, and then in 2012 he was massively outclassed by Hulkenberg, who was new to the team, and then in 2013 I think Adrian sort of got a sixth place or a fourth place or something, and the rest like binned it in a few of the last races or along those lines, definitely in Brazil, and it was just that like there was never like, oh wow. You know what I mean? It was never that kind of thing going on. Whereas Kubica, even though he's had his injury back in the day, it was wow.
Yeah, Kubica was an amazing driver before his accident. It was unreal.
The only reason he didn't get, didn't have a chance at the 2008 title was because BMW, after Kubica won the race in Canada, they said no, we're going to focus on the 2009 car, and that went well.
And then it just they were mid pack at best. So
it's a real sort of unfinished business. So hopefully they'll.
I'd love to see Kubica back in that car.
Yeah, hopefully.
Just back in an F1 car, be amazing.
Hopefully he does come back. So I wanted to talk about
Oh god,
league racing on F1 2017 because
how's your league racing going, Duke?
oh, it's much better than you, mate. See, I was waiting.
Sorry.
I was waiting for that.
Sorry.
Yeah, so I'm sure Ashley, you've got a great opinion on this topic. As if you follow Ashley on Twitter, I'll put it in the description. He rants a lot on Twitter about Codemasters and F1 league racing, but they for AOR that kicked off this weekend, the fact they had to turn the safety car off and the formation lap off because of all the issues. And what were we, a month into the game, a patch 1.7, and on my game, for some reason, since the patch came in, I can't hear Jeff in my ears for some reason.
Oh, me neither.
Oh, okay, it's not just me then. And I wanted to get everybody's opinion. I'll start off with you, Ashley, because I know you got the biggest opinion on this subject. But
well, I'll try and keep it short.
Yeah, go for it.
That's what she said.
Nice. But it's a case of you had the big YouTubers saying, right, we need this because it'll make us more money and it'll make you more money. And then you had the whole league racing community saying, right, okay, for example, the slipstream is too strong. You need to do this, this, and this to online because it's not stable enough. And from 2016, there were 8 patches. So, we went to 1.0 to 1.8. And considering we're a month into the game and we've already had 7 patches and most of the esports races were decided like by complete bullshit and just there was lag everywhere, and even if like it sucks because if they just listened to what everyone said, it would be fine. But they put so much effort into the single player, which didn't work. Like the McLaren upgrades didn't work. Not even that worked. It just didn't really. It's still not happening, and it's like, look, well, you should have done this, and people asked you for this, and yet we're still suffering. And the biggest example of Codemasters is, right, 2016, all right, okay, mate, the slipstream is just ridiculous. 2017, more downforce, you should have a stronger slipstream than what 2016 should have been. So you should have only nerfed it a little bit, and then they nerfed it so much that it's like non-existent. And that sucks. It really does suck because we all like the game, and not to mention the front tires are too wide, and the liveries are off now, and the car's still updated from Australia. The Mercedes nose has been different since Spain. What was that, May? And we still haven't got the car, and it's it's coming to the end of the year now. But they're so busy on fixing the game that's fundamentally broken, they can't actually put in the updates they wanted to do. And that just says it all. But it just seems that everyone there just lives in this la la land of, oh yeah, massive sales, Aaron and Ben's channel's going well, or awesome. And then that's all they've got, while everyone else is like, oh yeah, my race was ruined. Oh yeah, and my race was ruined. Oh yeah, my race was ruined too. So it just seems strange. It just seems they've just got no sense. For want of a better word.
But it's really weird because they've got the whole esports thing going on, and you got the actual F1 account tweeting a lot about the
Yep.
esports and the game, and you've got Codemasters doing loads of tweets about AOR and stuff like that. And in essence, the fundamentals of online, the single player is really good. I love the single player. It's amazing, but as soon as you get off the single player or go to anything online, it is fundamentally awful. Because there is no consistency between one lobby and another. You could go to one lobby and it's absolutely perfect. You go to the next lobby and you'll get blown up by somebody who probably isn't even in the lobby anyway. It is ridiculous. Like New Journey pre-season, Rudster's got thrown up into the air by an invisible, I don't know, this stone or something. It's just got randomly flipped up into the air. That
was in 2016 too, and it's like on multiple occasions it was shown. And I think, that is obviously, the connection is worse because cars now move around. When you get close to them, they move around like side to side and back and forth. And they didn't used to do that in 2016. They used to be solid when you were close to them. But I think the biggest observation I've got is like, if you're going to be an official F1 game, you need to have everything perfect. If you've got the license to one of the biggest brands in the world, you need to have everything, perfect. So the front tires being as big as the rear tires are in real life is wrong. You've got the last corner in Malaysia was changed before the race last year, which is before the game came out, or just after the game came out, sorry. And yet it still hasn't changed. It's still got no camber at all. And it's like it's way off the mark. And it's embarrassing for them.
Yeah, you don't see this with FIFA, do you? You don't see everyone going, "Oh my god, yeah!" But there's a huge glitch where randomly Ronaldinho just run off, like will just randomly kick the ball without you pressing it, and it will go out the stadium, and then he'll glitch out, and you won't be able to see him for the whole game, or something like that. You don't get that. The game is perfect apart from some obviously very small, very very small things, and really funny glitches like Ronaldo's head up his own arse or something.
Yeah.
And it's weird. Yeah, because I heard when Rickson did the beta test, didn't he? Got the beta and stuff. He said the online was perfect.
Yeah, so they highlighted stuff in there that needed fixing. They never fixed it. The online was better in the beta than it is now. My issue is the reason why the beta was good is because it was a bare bones build. Obviously, it only had something. That's exactly what a beta is. What Codemasters have done for years is try and do too much and then fail on each thing. So I was in Australia online. You've got a track announcer who has about 6 sentences. One of them, he's Brummy as well. You're in Australia doing AOR, right? And he's Brummy, and he's saying, "Oh, shout out to Billy Munger, aka Billy Weaves." You're like, what's the point? Like, okay, yes, you respect him or stuff like that. And he's like, "Oh, controversial T-wing, and we'll see if the Mercedes is still quick this year." And I'm like, I'm in a league race, mate. I don't need to hear you when I'm in the pits sorting out my setup.
Yeah.
And then
I want to make sure I could race someone wheel to wheel. That's
and things
that's
like
what
the
you
crowd
want, isn't it?
cheering, and it's like it's just not necessary. I just want to race. I don't care. Don't even put the crowd in. Just have the racing good. If you can't do all of it, just do the core basics. Okay, make them work, and then add little bits when you can. Don't start by adding your little bits and then going, "Oh, does the online need fixing? Oh yeah, we'll try and do that." And it's no. Just focus on what you need. But of course, then when Arava or Ben they make a video, of course they've got all the crowd effects and all the track announcers there, and it's all big shabam. So when they goes, "Oh no, my left front brake disc has failed," it's all really authentic. It's just all the normies get sucked in and like, "Oh my god, yeah, it's amazing." And no, it's not because it's shit.
Sam, have you got
That's
an
pretty much
opinion
it.
on this whole issue?
Yes, December.
Played online for let's say 3 weeks. Journey testing 3 weeks ago, wasn't it?
Yes.
Then it was just horrible. Remember the second test I was in third, and I think it was YouTube that shouted like through the party chat like, "Oh, he's gonna do the dive bomb of dreams." The guy up beside me, I could have lost the wheel while he said on his screen he was nowhere near me.
Yeah. It's not quite as bad as the 2011 glitch, maybe,
no,
where people aren't even racing on the same track, and you
That
just see
is-
people crashing into walls. That was the biggest glitch, I think.
That's the kind of shit, the moment I'm scared to attempt to move
Yeah.
or to attempt an overtake, that's it. I take out the disc and I just bring the game back. Fuck this. I'm not-
Yeah, yeah.
It's true
yeah.
though, isn't it? It doesn't want. It makes you
Yeah.
not. I haven't played online apart from the noob journey because I won't touch it because I know I'm going to get absolutely destroyed by someone who isn't even near me.
It's open wheel racing. It's supposed to be close contact, like, little tweaks here and there, and then just timing it at the perfect moment. Get the slipstream, which is non-existent, as Ash said. Get the slipstream, break just 5 milliseconds later to find yourself in the wall or flying up. It's just fuck this. I'm not paying for that.
Yeah. And I've tweeted them and I said, look, if you're gonna, obviously they didn't reply because anything that's actually beneficial to the game, it's like tumbleweed just rolls past when you look back after a week. And I tweeted them and I said, look, okay, so let's put it this way. You said it would be enhanced multiplayer. That means 2016. That's misrepresentation. However, whichever way you cut it, it's worse, right? Which means it's not. You've lied. Not only you knew it'd be do any publicity on it, and then if you've got, let's say the game is made up of two halves. You've got half of it single player, half of it's multiplayer. If the multiplayer doesn't work, then you charge half the price. You can't charge the same as Call of Duty or something and say, well, we need the funds to make it a good game. It's like, no, you earn the respect to be able to charge that amount of money. You earn the respect from people because at the moment the game was exactly how much I would have bought it for, was 20 quid with an eBay voucher. I bought it for that much, and that's how much it was worth because it's half a game.
Yeah, I actually do agree with that. That it is sort of half a game because online is flat. I'm actually surprised I managed to get through AOI without at least one or two of the lobbies absolutely blowing up.
Yeah, some of the
of course,
tiers.
Yeah, you guys are running a noob journey, and it's like, what are you supposed to do? I feel more than us.
Unfortunately, we've had some issues with the video recording, so we're gonna have to redo episode 1. But we got the disqualification glitch where we went over the line and
I thought that was fixed as well.
Yeah, exactly. And
I could have sworn that was fixed about 3 patches ago, and yet all of a sudden I'm up into place without actually line yet.
Big C got disqualified. Can you imagine it? Noob journey's all well and good, but Big C got disqualified from the esports race on the last one.
Yeah, for the tyre glitch.
But what's interesting is, can you imagine if he probably had the notification on the screen, right, saying you need to pit. Can you imagine if he pitted and then lost the lead? But luckily, he just said, right, I know it's a glitch, I'll keep going and we'll see what the stewards say. So that was one of his biggest calls. But it's like, Lee Mather was in the chat and everyone, like Chris Johnson F1 was pretty vocal. He was like, oh my God, big up Lee Mather, look at the state of your game, pal. And he replied like, I'm looking, Chris. I was fucking weak. Oh my God.
I love that. I
didn't realise because his name was like Rod Street Rod or Rod Stewart Rod or something like that. And I sent Chris, I said, that's Lee Mather. And he was like, no. So it was like, sort it out. But yeah, we'll see. We haven't heard anything about a patch in the last week or so, week and a half, 2 weeks. So.
Well, it's weird because I've heard that Lee Mather was tweeting. I don't follow him, but I've heard that he was saying that in the latest patch update, whatever, there's going to be some new interesting things. And I'm like, please tell me that means the online works.
One of them will be like the F1 timing on the left in races. One of them will be that.
I think one of them was supposed to be. I forgot. There was one thing that was said about in the AOR stream that I watched Sunday night, the Xbox one. Someone that was saying that there was going to be one thing that was introduced, and I'm like, don't do that. Make it so then they don't blow up. And it's like, so they've got 2 things to do: sort out online and update the liveries. That's the 2 things they've got to do, and that's it. And update the Malaysia final corner. There's 3 things. I don't care how long it takes to update them. Just do it.
Sorry, what? They got a corner wrong on the official Formula 1 game.
Yeah. Final corner has no camber, and it should have been cambered in the last game, and it wasn't. It's supposed to be off camber now, and it's got no camber.
To allow for drainage, isn't it?
They got liveries wrong. They get corners wrong.
The liveries I can understand because they bought them in too late.
Yeah.
So then they had to do an update on them, but they've taken a little bit long with the update. Because they're trying to keep patching
thing you know, it's going F1 you know, the official Formula One game is going to be like one of those games you buy in the App Store where they change the names a bit, like Verstappen with 1P, and then they go Hamilton, so you don't know what.
Yes. Yes.
Evolution
It's like
F1.
Pez. It's like Pez from about 7 years ago, where they couldn't have the official rights.
But yeah,
So-
Codemasters make Pez, don't they? So.
No, they don't. That's Konami.
Oh right, okay. I thought they meant the same thing. I thought it was Codemasters make Pez.
God, that's not even close. Konami are like
Who told
Japanese.
me that Codemasters? Oh, it was one of the guys on PS4 told me that. I'll have to go back to him and say you were wrong.
It was.
I think you've been well and truly
They made,
destroyed
they made
there.
Micro Machines, Dirt, Dirt Rally.
Yeah,
Micro
that was-
machines.
Yeah.
That's a
just
good game.
looking
That's
up
not even
to-
flawed.
Just looking to the left where I've got, you know, on top of my Xbox, I got so F1 2017 game, and next to it Dirt 4. That's a game they got bang on right. How can you fuck up a game that you've been
Dirt
making
4's
for
an
10 years?
amazing game as well.
Yeah.
Flawless. And yet you've then got, if you put them side by side, you go, well, these aren't made from the same people.
Yeah, exactly.
And yet they're made by the same people at the same time. And it's felt like, you sure?
It's mad. Yeah, it's mad.
It's mental.
It's sad because like the normies, you know, the people like IGN and shit, they don't see what everyone says on Twitter because it's very well covered up by them. And of course, they get the game, they get 10 minutes with it and go, oh, yes, great. And then in the first like 3 weeks, if you played the game for more than 2.5 hours, it crashed. So they never played it for that long. So that's why they got all the reviews. And
Yeah.
God knows paying
They
that.
got reviews on a sort of base level game, a little bit like the beta. And they go, yeah, look at this. But they've taken out all of the bits that don't work. It's a bit like I was watching a video on the iPhone launch. The first iPhone launch, they had 7 iPhones because the iPhone itself couldn't deal with doing the 7 different things that they wanted to show.
No,
So they had to have a different iPhone for each one.
That's unbelievable.
So it's a little bit like that where they go, okay, here's this little bit of the game, and in a week we'll show you another bit of the game to review that we've then taken out, pasted. It's going to be like that. It's going to be bits of a game.
That's
Yeah, it's
unbelievable.
unbelievable. Anyway,
If you want to see for yourself how bad the online is, take a look at the Noob Journey. Woo. Plugging.
Plug it.
Well,
We'll see it on your channel, Ken. Ooh.
Oh, you will. Once I'm back in, once I'm racing again, the channel's gonna be lit. It's gonna be lit.
It's going to be amazing. To be fair, what they should have done with the online is just put it as a free DLC in about 2 months when they've actually got it right. Just literally what they should have done. It's just gone, okay, here's a base level game. It's £45. But in 2-3 months, we're going to give you the online for free and it's going to work. And everyone's going to go, yeah, no, actually, that sounds good.
Well, yeah, I wouldn't pay £45
Don't-
for an F1 game that you can't.
Well, yeah, but then you have to buy the online DLC and who...
Yeah, but I would never buy an
who's going,
F1
oh, yeah,
game. I understand what you mean, but imagine every game's got online
Yeah.
these days. It's not, it's F1 isn't like GTA where you can play hours and hours and hours, and not get bored. I haven't even done a kind of career mode. I've done 2 races of career mode and got bored.
Yeah, I'm about 2/3 of the way through, but yeah, I do see what you mean. You need the online to keep it going, but if they just got the online right in the first place, we could keep going around in circles with this. In fairness,
Yeah.
we've covered the fact that they need to sort their shit out.
We have exhausted it.
Yes, yeah. So the final topic for today's podcast is the Japanese Grand Prix predictions. So Japan is
Grand Prix.
and one of my favourite tracks on the calendar. So I'll throw it to December to start off with. Who are you going to go with? Pole and top 3 on race day.
Paul Hamilton.
All Hamilton.
Yep, nice one.
Oh yeah, so I can say it out loud. And then top 3 on race day is going to be Hamilton to win it.
Okay.
Verstappen second, Vettel third.
Okay, interesting.
Oh, nice. But
Okay.
us having another bottle of a weekend then.
Yes.
It's all going downhill from here.
Yeah, that's fair.
Corsa?
I'm going to go for a Hamilton pole because their one lap has been awesome. And then for the top 3, I'm going to go Ricciardo, Verstappen, Vettel.
Ooh.
Wow.
Because Red Bull's race pace around Japan, I can see being absolutely mighty.
Yep.
I don't know. Okay, interesting. Okay. Ashley?
Well, with quali, I think Vettel's going to have a gearbox penalty. because that thing was trashed at the end of the Malaysian Grand Prix.
Yeah,
So he's pretty much
that's
quali.
5th place, isn't it?
It'll be Hamilton on pole because with the couple of Mercedes engine mode to his touch. I mean, I'm not a fan, but you know, I was watching him. I did an interview with one of the F1 broadcasters around Malaysia in the Mercedes GTS, the safety car, and it was quite a strange one. It's on my Twitter somewhere where she was just calling him a bad boy like most of the way around. I was like, well,
Yeah, I just read that. That was
that was quite an odd one. But yeah, there's the control he had of that. It was just so clear to see, so confident in his own driving. Quali laps, he can just smash them, and it's incredible. So he'll be on pole. The Red Bulls will be up there if they can get the setup right. I remember Ricardo missed out last year because like they messed up the ride height, and I think his ride height was a little low. But the race pace will be phenomenal. Hopefully it'll be a battle between the Red Bulls and the Mercedes. But again, the dirty air will just kill any racing below a second because it's just too close. But one thing I will say, so yeah, actually I think it'll be Hamilton up there. We'll go for the Hamilton win because that Mercedes engine mode down the straights should be ridiculous because they'll have a big conflab after this. Frankly, what a mess of Malaysia race it was for them. You know, they should have, with Petronas being the main sponsor as well, they should have just smashed it, and they didn't. They'll be very strong in Suzuka, but then Red Bulls will be just biting at their heels the whole way. So I'm going to go like Hamilton, Verstappen, Ricardo, because Kimi and Bottas will just be, damp cloth most of the way around.
As normal.
What I will say, though, is F1 will miss Sepang. You know, they say it's the last race, possibly the last race, but there's so much money in the place. And I think if that, obviously if that place doesn't come back, I think Petronas won't stay in the sport. I think they'll drop away from Mercedes because that was their big event where they make huge amounts of money. And I think then that will ease, start the rumor mill of Mercedes leaving because that was rife a few races ago, wasn't it? That they were just going to leave, drop everything and go to Formula E. But I think, it depends on the fate of the Malaysian Grand Prix, how long Petronas want to stay in afterwards. All depends on how Mercedes will take that. But Japan should be interesting anyway. It'd be really awesome to see the cars go around there. It'll be. I think last year there was a shot that someone took of Nico Rosberg's tire in free practice 2, I think it was. Yeah, through Degna 1, and you saw like the deflection of the tire sidewall. Do you remember that one? Where his car's like on the floor,
I remember that. Yeah,
his tires just all distorted, and that was 2016. Can you imagine 2017 going through there with cheese Pirelli tires? It's going to be special to see the cars go around there, even if they are in their own dirt. Yeah, quality itself will just be immense. As long as they don't use the bloody stupid camera angle over the shoulder. As long as they don't use that, we'll be.
It is a pointless camera angle. I'll give you.
Yeah, it should. I'm looking forward to it. It should be a good one. But I'm gonna go Hamilton to win. So Hamilton pole, Hamilton to win.
Yeah.
And
okay.
I'm gonna, because I don't like Hamilton, so I'm gonna put.
We'd never guess.
No, I'm not Rickson. So I'm gonna.
Thank God.
I'm gonna put Vettel second, and then most likely we'll get a penalty for the gearbox because it just got molested by Stroll. So
wow.
Yeah, Vettel is gonna get a great start and come out and get into second, and put Verstappen third because I like Verstappen, but I know Hamilton is good round Suzuka, so I can see him sort of running away with Red Bull and Ferrari being close, and then Raikkonen and Bottas just being nowhere as usual, because they're just not very good. So
yeah,
no, I agree with that.
One thing I hope for Suzuka is that Magnussen stays as aggressive as he has been these last few races, because even Alonso had something to say during Malaysia. I think he said, Hulkenberg was right about. So that'll be quite interesting. It's nice, because I think he does. I like it when he gets his elbows out, and he's really got nothing to lose because he's got a contract with Haas next year. And until he gets a penalty, he's still going to do it. And it's just brilliant because someone goes up to him and says, "Oh, it's a Haas, it's fine, I'll just pass him easily." And then he's like, "Oh, do you know?" No. It's still quite interesting. Should be interesting.
Yeah. No, I think we're all looking forward to it, and it's nice. Well, the only issue with Japan, it's an early start. I think it's 7 a.m. start the race, so it's going to be.
I mean, third world issues.
Yeah.
First World.
An early start. Oh
Well, I
wow.
think it's worse for us than December for once. So that's because essentially they're ahead of
Yeah,
us
no, it
in
is.
Belgium. So
Yeah, it's all right for Ken, isn't it? Easy life.
no, ignore me. Yeah.
Yeah. Chatting
like
shit.
4.5 hours on because we had a town party on Saturday night. I got home at like 2:33 3 a.m.
Oh.
8 a.m.
Oh wow.
It was fine because it was an interesting race. If it would have been Singapore, I'd probably still be asleep by now.
Um,
Yeah, no, that's fair.
I think that rounds it off for today's podcast. It's been a bit of a long one. So
That's what
hopefully
she
you
said.
guys have stuck it to the end. But let us know your thoughts on all the topics we talked about today in the podcast. And don't forget to check out everybody in the description below. Ashley is also on YouTube, so check him out on there. On his AOR races, so go check him out on that, and check out Corsa and Semper especially for the Noob Journey. And we'll see you
Plug.
next week. Next week for the Japanese Grand Prix. Good night.